All right, we should be live. If not, we're all zombies. No. Welcome back to the Linux 18 for this last Friday of February 2020. Where does the time go? Anyway, welcome back. As you can see, I have my returning champions here. We have Joey Pizza Face from Chicago. We're all friends here. We have Steve Big Popper Peppermint Linux also from Chicago, I think. We have Ben from Planet Earth.
Kentucky.
Sorry, Kentucky. Please don't send me emails from Kentucky. I forgot. I apologize.
It's okay.
Welcome.
They'd have to write.
Yeah, we have Ricky from Florida, one of my favorite states. I used to live there.
Yes.
Anyway, the Linux 18, this is a bi-weekly show for now, featuring the best of the Linux world. These shows are bi-weekly. If you would like to be on the show or sponsor a show, please send me an email at totalOStoday1@gmail.com. If you want to support the show or the channel, you can check out some links below with PayPal, Patreon, Uncle Guido store, and all that. That is also a joke. For tonight, we're going to talk about Linux and how it controls the world. But first, let me go to my panel here. Ben, how you been? And Ben is a mute.
No, I had to.
Okay. Okay.
I had to take my headset off. It was killing my ears.
Okay. So how you been, Ben?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay, next guy. No, just kidding.
I'm fine. I'm just
Okay.
recovering slowly from an all-nighter of Gen 2.
How you been, Joe?
Doing well now, or getting better. I had the flu for a couple of weeks there, so
Right.
it wasn't too fun. But other than that, I'm doing good, and
Very
hadn't
good.
seen you in a while. So
I know. I was hoping you could join us tonight. I'm glad you're here. I know it has been a while, at least 3 months. Since last year.
Because I lost the hearing in my left ear. I still haven't gotten it back, but it's a quiet enough room. I can hear everything okay right now. So,
Nice.
And I was pretty sick for a while with that.
Good.
So.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back. I did miss you. So
Thank you.
I need to have fellow Italians on the show for my protection. Ricky.
Yeah, so we can all talk the same.
All right. Hey, what's the matter? How you been, Ricky?
Oh, I've been doing good. My YouTube channel is almost to 200 subs, and within 3 to 4 weeks, I will be doing a celebration live stream or video, whichever one I'm going to do.
Nice.
Congrats.
Okay. Very good. Steve,
Good evening.
how you been?
Doing okay. Taking it easy.
Understood.
Still a little bit on leave.
Right.
Back is coming along, improving.
Good.
Got good mobility.
Are you running Linux Mint now? Or you were testing?
No,
it?
it's on one of my laptops.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So you're still on your trusty Peppermint.
Yeah, I don't see no point in jumping ship right now.
Understood.
There's certain out there that, well, we won't go into that.
Okay. I get it. Okay, I did. I'm running this off of OBS. I did transitions here, so I think everybody can see us now, I hope. Somebody in chat, please check. So I know there's a delay, but that should be done with. So
It's good now.
It should be good now. You guys can see there in the chat. Can you see us here in the chat? Then we'll get to our topic. So now you can see. Thank you, Low Spec. Okay, welcome everybody in the chat. Steve's going to monitor the chat while I go into the topic here. And it looks like everything's good on my end. All right, so we've talked about this before, but I think it still needs to be said because Linux's tentacles, whatever you want to call it, is controlling the world, is powering the world, and this is something that I don't think probably not many of us would have envisioned 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I started with Linux back in 06 with Ubuntu, and that's a future topic. But in 2020, let's start here. Ben, where is Linux with you?
Oh, I guess I'll have to start at the beginning and work my way up again.
Okay, let me grab my pillow. Take your time. No, just kidding.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, story begins on a cold Kentucky night on Talk Shoe. So, which is a radio station from way back in the day. It's still around to this day. But anyway, so I was perusing different tech shows, and one of them happened to be the USA Computer Tech Show, which was hosted by Justin Breithaupt, who is the main developer of Just Use Linux, which was originally called Ultimix. And he and I met, and that was my first ever introduction to Linux. And it was based on Ubuntu 8.04 at the time, which now it's based on 18.04.2, which is slightly older, but still, So at that point, he and I became friends.
Okay. Now you have Linux on multiple machines. I know you have what?
Yes, I have Gentoo on this machine,
Okay.
on the machine behind me, as well as Mac OS, and then I have Gentoo on this computer as well as Windows 10. So,
Okay.
I'm a multi-booter, but
Okay.
I've used various forms of Linux, and then I started out on Ubuntu 8.04, then slowly progressed up to 10.10.
Now, are you the only user of Linux in your home?
Yeah,
Okay.
my family.
So you're the only smart one. I'm just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just
yeah,
kidding.
I tried to convert my mom to it for a little while, but
okay. Well, Linux is in Ben's home. Joe,
Yeah.
let's go to Joe.
So you want to hear where I started, or just
How is Linux controlling your world or powering your world or your home? Yeah.
It's on quite a few machines. Obviously, it's we don't have Androids, unfortunately. We've got iPhones, but that's because everybody else has them.
iPhone's Unix. It's somewhat based off of Linux. It has the same reason.
Kind of a stretch, but yeah,
it's kind of a stretch, but it's not that far out there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I actually, as you know, I have it on a couple of my desktops here. I've got Mint on this one and Peppermint on the other one. I actually am seriously looking at Ubuntu 20.04 when it comes out to maybe do a boot with that.
Okay.
And as I told you the story before we started the show here, I finally have my wife on Linux Mint now. And she uses it for a daily work laptop. And I had to laugh pretty hard because I had put Windows 10 on her workstation at work, and she couldn't tell the difference between the two. She says, "Do I have Windows? Do I have Linux?" I said, "Yeah, you do."
Linux has come a long way. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why it's spread around the world. It isn't just on a machine at home. Awesome. Ricky, are you the only one using Linux in your house?
Basically, I have pretty much a Windows hard drive that I use every now and then for at least one program.
Okay.
Other than that, as of 2008, that's when I started my journey to use Linux full time. But over a decade ago, around 2008, 2009, is when I got my first taste of Linux, when I tried Ubuntu for the very first time.
Okay.
On my Windows Vista machine with a half gig of RAM. It was a disastrous experience. But
you met me that you learned all about it.
Yeah, exactly. Ben here is the one who pretty much is solely responsible for getting me into Linux full-time in the first place, and I thank him for that. But most of my machines in my room run Linux, including a 2012 MacBook Pro that is running Calculate Linux currently, KDE Plasma. And on my main production machine that I make my YouTube videos on, I was using Linux Mint XFCE for several months, but as of tonight, I am going back to using Arch Linux, which is what I was comfortable in using before.
Okay.
But other than that, that's pretty much my journey into Linux in a nutshell.
So Linux powers your computer world, home.
Yes.
Whatever.
Well, my specific area of my house. I mean, I have an Android phone. I'm planning to get a new Android tablet. I have 6 computers in my room that run Linux.
All Linux.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
See, he's been assimilated like the Borgons. You'll be assimilated with Linux.
Well, my truck runs Linux too. I know that. I've got it in my Dodge Ram.
Nice.
So. And one other person I forgot to tell you, I just migrated to Linux. My little 5.5-year-old grandson was on Pop OS today.
Jeez.
So-
See, Linux is like the heads of the 5 families. We got Joe's family, the heads of the 5 family. We got Stevie's family, Ricky's and Ben's family. We got 5 people here. Steve,
Yes, sir.
does Linux power your world?
Well, it's the only thing that's on my desktop. I have 3 laptops, 2 that run Peppermint, one that is my testing one, which right now has Linux Mint on it.
Okay.
And then we have 2 Windows laptops, one's my wife, one's my son, but they both use the desktop quite often with Peppermint.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's no secret that Linux powers my world 80 to 90% of the time. I do use Windows 10. I'm using it tonight, and I thought I was going to have to reboot after the update into Linux, but when this is Windows 10 fairness, rebooted fine, updates are fine. Just the security updates. I'm not installing feature updates because Joe was saying when you install feature, it deletes your files. It deletes the start menu. I don't know what's up with Windows. I never would have predicted this with Windows. But in all fairness and disclosure, I'm using Windows 10 now after rebooting. Just the security patches. It seems okay, so I'll leave it the way it is. Moving on to how Linux controls the world. It isn't just desktops. It isn't just computers. It's laptops, Chromebooks, phones. Most phones or Android, which is based off of Linux or a modified version of Linux, Linux kernel. I mentioned Chromebooks, tablets, and the list goes on. Smart homes, smart cars, Joey's car, smart toilets. Why not? But did you guys know that Linux powers the Hadron Collider?
Never knew that.
In Sweden, they use that form. I'm not sure what kind of a Linux to test. I guess I don't know if we have any physicists here, but testing subatomic particles to see if we can, create a black hole or something. I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but I believe it. And this is based in Sweden. I don't know if we have any Swedes here. But it controls that huge. I guess it's miles long, like underground. My friend who I was telling you about, he's running for office. I believe his nephew works on that. He's like a genius, So it powers the Hadron, the rather large Hadron Collider. It powers the International Space Station.
yes, it does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, back in 2008, I was reading an article when a Russian cosmonaut went up there with his Windows laptop, brought up a worm. And after that, they switched to at the time Debian 6.
Okay. Okay.
So, and one of the super battleships out now, a lot of those are they're running it too.
And of course, they're all based off Ubuntu Mate. I don't know what they're using. I really don't know. They're probably their own, modified version, special version of Linux. But the point is, they're running Linux and not, Mac OS or Windows. I have a feeling if they were running Windows, they would probably lose not only their start menu, but their codes to, who knows? Okay, so the International Space Station, the Large Hadron Collider, it powers nuclear submarines, as we just talked about. I didn't know that till some time ago. It powers traffic control systems.
Well, the battleship I was referring to recently was the one that was built from the remains of a lot of the steel from the trade centers from 9/11.
Oh, wow, cool.
So that's super bad. Okay. It's a super type battleship. It's really modern looking, whatever. And
nice. Nice. Right. I think that's awesome.
Derek says Linux will open up a black hole that will destroy the Earth. Take that, Windows.
You know what? I'm telling you guys, stop using Arch. It's destroying. No, I'm just kidding. But well, if you run the unstable Arch, it might open up an unstable black hole. I don't know. Wouldn't that be a plot for the next Star Trek Picard TV show? By the way, 7 of 9 looked hot on the new show Picard, Star Trek Picard or whatever. She looks good. Looks good. I'm still giving her a 10 of 9. 20 years later after Voyager, but that's a different topic. Okay, where are we at here? Traffic control system. Linux powers air traffic control systems. I didn't know that. I'm assuming they're running stable versions of Linux. You wouldn't want to have a pilot, running the unstable version of Linux. Hey, where do I land this thing? No. But anyway, air traffic control systems. Did you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did not know that at all, but I also know that Linux is also starting to have a major influence in schools and education.
Okay. I don't see why not.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's a good thing. My school, unfortunately, my college is still running Windows 10, and I cringe every time I hear that.
Briefly about that, and I know, some schools have Mac. The reason why they're running that now, but like a lot of schools are running Chrome too, to be fair. But schools that are running Chromebook, not to get off topic here, but schools that run Chromebook, there's two reasons. Number one, they are completely affordable. But number two, they're running a national, Linux-based operating system that is a Chromebook. Yeah. It is a Linux standard. And we've talked about this. I don't want to beat this to death. But Chromebooks are a Linux standard, a quality standard, okay, based off of what, Gentoo. That's why schools use it, because they know it does work. But if we had another distro standard, it doesn't matter if it's Ubuntu or Arch-based or whatever. It doesn't, as long as it is a quality standard, they could probably use that too.
One sec, guys.
But we don't have that. Hence, they're using Windows or Mac or Chromebook because those three are quality standards. And by the way, I am sneaking in at the chat here. Sleepy says, that bad dude's sister on Picard. I don't know. I have to think. Okay. Anyway, it's a pretty cool show. The Borg drone.
Look at Derek's comic, yeah.
Yeah, the Borg drone you call 7 of 9 is in fact 7 of 9. Tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01. Well, excuse me. Yes. You're right. I had to think about that, but that was on the original Voyager when she first transformed from human, or from Borg to human, who she was. Yes, because she was taken from the human race. That is true. You have good memory. Awesome.
Oh, man.
Okay. All right. Where are we here? Linux is in farm equipment, evidently. How many guys knew that?
Equipment.
Yeah. Farm equipment. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Maybe they're using Farm OS or Cow OS. I don't know. They're in Linux powers self-driving cars. Not Windows 10. Not Mac OS. Linux. This one made me laugh. Linux powers North Korean computers. I guess they really want to stay secure and private, so they're gonna use a Linux version. I think it's called Red OS or something like that. Isn't there a? I can't remember it. But that's
there's a Russian version, Red Star.
Sorry, Okay, well that's okay. All right, but they're not using Windows. I guess they don't want to be tracked. Okay, Red Star OS. Thank you, William. DT. Okay. Where's my list? I think. So we have Linux powers the Large Hadron Collider, air traffic control, self-driving cars, farm equipment. Did you know that Linux powers, I did not know this, the tsunami warning systems?
Very interesting.
Yeah. Yes, Linux is making a splash, with the tsunami warning systems. I did not know that. Awesome. So Linux can possibly save lives. Who knew? Awesome. Yeah. So good for them. We mentioned computers, nuclear submarines, traffic control systems, the ISS, International Space Station. What about the world's supercomputers? I think almost
every single one of them.
Almost all of them, Steve.
Everyone. Every single supercomputer runs Linux.
Wow. Wow. And who knew when I started with Ubuntu in 06 that the world would adapt Linux? It's come this far since 06. I would not have predicted that. I knew when I first used Linux had potential. But I think it's awesome. And I know if we could get a standard national Linux distro, it would sell. It would have the possibility to at least compete with Windows 10. Chromebooks are good. They work, we were talking about this. I have one, and I use that more than my ThinkPads. Nothing wrong with ThinkPads, but there's something about the Chromebook. It just turn it on. It's fast, and this is a low-end Chromebook with just 2 gigs of RAM. It's a little bit underpowered for live streaming. That's why I don't use it that much for live streaming. But for surfing the web, streaming music, playing music, with just 2 stinking gigs of RAM, it's fast enough. And the thing, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. So
unless your camera went fuzzy again.
Anyway.
So going back to the National Linux Desktop, did you know that, and I have one of these, which got me in the Linux, the EEE PC 1000HE. There's an article here, the Asus E, how close did the world come to a Linux desktop?
Which one was that again?
That was the little Asus netbook.
Wow.
And it was going to be $199.
Didn't Walmart tinker with a computer for the masses like 10 years ago? It was called GOS, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Something like I think
GOS.
GOS, GOS, GOS. I guess it was something lighter. So I downloaded it. It was one of the most horrible, crappiest Linux distros out there, and it went nowhere. Now, I don't know who was to blame for that, but it really, I think that was 08, 09. But it took a couple years, but it really wasn't until Chromebooks that Google proved you can have a national Linux system, a Linux distro if you want to call it that, or a computer based off of Linux that can work, that will sell. Now, it's taken a while. I think Chromebooks came out in 2011 first. And here we are 9 years later. They're stable. They work. They're not for everybody, granted. But again, Chromebooks have proven that a Chromebook can power a person's life because it is a quality standard. So for those that say, well, fragmentation is a standard for Linux, well, not all of it. Look, if fragmentation was the Linux quality standard, it wouldn't be an air traffic control system. It wouldn't be on the ISS. It wouldn't be in smart toilets. It wouldn't be in nuclear submarines.
No.
But that's the possibility of Linux powering someone's world.
Yeah. I mean, we all love Linux. We all run Linux. I mean, like we've said many times, Toss, we need one distro that can just power everybody. But unfortunately, the power of Linux is choice. And as long as it's been around, that's been the philosophy behind it, is personal choice.
Linux, a national distro or whatever system is a choice. You don't have to use, but for those of us who like to tinker, having a national system would not take away that choice, which Linux is all. It would add
you wouldn't
to
have
it.
to use the all end all be all.
It would add to it. Last year
you can add to it if you want. You can tinker.
It's just a choice if you want it. If not, then don't buy it.
Right.
Linus Torvalds last year during an interview said the number one reason why we don't have a national standard. He did mention Chromebooks, but the number one reason is fragmentation.
User fragmentation, unfortunately, yes.
But in spite of that,
fragmentation and all that stuff. I mean, until we find, some sponsor, developer, whatever you want to call it, that is willing to put time and effort into putting it on all kinds of machines and reselling it. We're stuck.
And this could be a debate for another future, topic to get more into.
Maybe in our next 2 weeks we can come up with that.
I think maybe what we'll do here in 2 weeks from now, maybe sooner, we'll do. Let's call that one Linux 18 Ubuntu's Legacy. How about that?
That sounds good to me.
Because a lot of people, including myself, probably got their first exposure to Ubuntu or Ubuntu based. So let's do that next time.
It's like I said, at the start of the show, I had JU Linux 0147, which was based on 8.04, and that was my first exposure to Linux way back in the day.
Well, DT is saying that the number one reason we don't have a standard is people resist the obvious choice for the standard. I don't think the 1 billion Windows users are going to care, DT. You make a point. But the mass market consumer mom and pop, people who are buying Chromebooks, they're not taking it home and saying, hey, this is based off of Gen 2. This isn't for newbies. Take it back, honey. They're not saying that.
They're not saying that
this
at all.
works.
No.
They're saying this works. They're saying, oh, this is easy. All I do is get on the web. This works. They're not saying, hey, what's it based on? I don't want to use this. It's crazy. They're not saying that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, those of us who are more into Linux,
this is hard. This is this and that.
It's not hard, right?
No. If they installed vanilla Gentoo themselves, they'd be like, "What the heck is this?" Blink. Break it all.
Right. I mean, let's face it. Google didn't call it the Gentoo book.
No.
It's for
Gentoo. What's Gentoo?
Right.
So,
right.
my God.
So, it would add a national standard for Linux besides Chromebook. Is the only way, I think, in my opinion, to put any kind of a dent into the Windows 10 market. Linux powers the world, but it's not powering, at least not yet, the mass market. And if we were to be completely honest, there's a lot of us who have been around a while. I've been doing this 10 years, DT a few years, other Linux channels. I think we all do for the most part, a pretty good job of filtering through the BS out there and telling Windows users and others, this is what Linux has to offer you. But if we were to be completely honest, there are 1 billion Windows users, give or take.
Yeah.
And if you were to add up all the Linux channel and total all of these subscribers, that we have, respectively, all of these supporters, compared to the domination of Windows 10, we basically suck. It's not necessarily our fault, but if we were to be completely honest, we can't put a dent in that. We just can't, because again, we don't have a national Linux distro or system besides a Chromebook, which is not enough to say, hey, Linux powers the world.
Yeah.
Great. Now a Windows user will say, great, let me walk into my store and my choice is Chromebook and a Chromebook. Really? Now I know you can go online and we talked about this before, but unless they can go into a store, try it out, taste, feely, touchy, they're not going to care. So yeah, Linux powers the world, and the 1 billion Windows users will say, great, you can keep it powering the world. I'm going to stick with Windows 10 or Mac. I have a relative of mine. She had Windows 7 expired. I mentioned, her alternatives, including Linux. She says, I think I'll stick with Mac. Why?
Yeah.
Again, she can't walk into a store, to try different Linux-based systems. People are aware of the horror stories of Windows 10 doing the updates. Mac, they are high-priced, but
way too high priced.
The updates are not destroying the system or whacking out the system, as it were. I haven't heard it. Of course, Chromebooks don't do that either, but it's not enough for some people, obviously. Putting that aside, Linux powering the world is quite an accomplishment to all the people who are involved developing the Linux kernel. That is quite an achievement, considering a lot of these people do it for little or sometimes no money. Hats off. And I'm saying this as a Windows user still. It's unbelievable what these talented people have done. I don't have a bottle of wine. If I did, or a glass, I would. I'm going to toast to all developers out there with my water. I know DT is having an adult beverage, so DT, you can raise your bourbon or whatever you drink in the South and toast all those Linux developers.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I wanted to say for this topic. I don't want to overpower this subject, but yeah, if you have a car, a smart car, or smart technology, it's probably Linux. Maybe you have a fridge with a screen that's powered by Linux. Who knew that you could watch your TV. You can watch the Linux A team right on your fridge as you're cooking your cannolis or whatever you do, making your cannolis or whatever. Who knew? Who knew? But
The
I
other
would.
thing, though, that's the
Yeah,
biggest
Joe. Yeah.
difference with this, which a lot of people, you know, they always used to say, well, yeah, with Microsoft, you've got a company, a large company, and you can get help and you get support. You know, I said that before on another stream, that when we were doing Biddle one night, and Alan, it was afterwards, after the show, and Alan Pope was in there, and I was talking to him about that too. I said, yeah, I said, anytime you want to call for help or whatever, you got better have your credit card out. And Alan says, well, I'll take your credit card too. You know, I was kind of laughing, but the reality of it is Alan, Martin Wimpress, I mean, those two guys themselves were in another chat tonight, another stream earlier of Eric Adams. I mean, when you think about the help that's available to this, yes, Canonical's a company, you know, Red Hat's a company, and we could go down the list. There are companies that are related to Linux as well, which a lot of people don't realize. But the truth of the matter is you can still support Linux however you're comfortable and feel you want to or can financially. And yet these gentlemen are just two that I mentioned out of anybody here that would offer any kind of help that they can. So to sit there and say because it's not a corporation that the support isn't there, I think it's actually the other way around. There's more support within this community, I believe, than there are the corporations, because the corporations will only talk to you at certain levels that you've paid for, and half the time you're getting somebody reading from a script that has a hard time troubleshooting your problem. You know, it's just, and I'm not playing it that there is something we said obviously for corporations and businesses that do their customer support well, but when you get so big, you know, it's there's always that language barrier between because of how things are outsourced and that kind of stuff. Yet you have language barriers, yes, in Linux too to some extent, but not the same way. I mean, it's different. It's, you know, because half the people that are in here when we go on any one of these shows, you've got, you know, Australia, you've got the UK, so are they language barriers? Yes and no. It depends on how heavy someone's accent is. But the funny thing is the more you're around them, you get used to it and you start to kind of adapt and understand. And it's the same thing with us. And then, you know, but the point is, everybody's there for you willingly. If you don't know an answer to something and you can't answer it to help somebody, fine. But you could usually, most people can say, well, you know what? I can't help you, but I know this so-and-so can. You know, so I think that's another huge thing about, as much as it's, you know, running so many things we're not aware of, even the things we are aware of, there is support behind it too. And I think that's one of the big misconceptions, as well as saying it's only good for older machines. That's a thing of the past. Older machines, yes, you could still restore some life.
That's part of it.
Newer distros are gearing toward all the newer hardware. So.
Linux has conquered the world, but it has not conquered the desktop, Joe. And this, I've been saying this for the last 2 years, this is the perfect opportunity. Look how many people are fed up with the updates, you know, wonking out their Windows 10 systems. Now, it hasn't happened to me yet. It happened to my son's Dell machine, a $1,000 machine, which I'm still ticked off. I was able to fix it. But if you're not a techie, what do? You know, it's the perfect opportunity. It has been for the last 2 years. And I know we have the developers. There are Linux-based systems that have proven themselves for newbies, Linux Mint, Zorin, and so on. I guess we need maybe some venture capitalists, as they're called, private investors. The market's out there. Linux doesn't need all billion of those to switch over to a Linux system. Maybe, I don't know, tens of millions might be profitable for a startup company. Chromebooks based on Linux proved they can sell. Build it and they will come. I think there's an old saying, right?
Build and they will come.
Build and they will come. So it's been the perfect opportunity, you know. But if it ain't there in Walmart or Best Buy or ABC or whatever Micro Center, if it ain't there, then not, you know. Windows users, and then we'll end this. Windows users are not going to go online and spend $1,000 or $2,000 for Linux masses. It's not going to happen. That's Fantasy Island. Okay, or a Linux phone that goes as high as $2,000. It's just not going to happen. At least not for the masses. For the tinkerer, for a developer, that's awesome. But that is not going to power the world, in my opinion.
I need to comment on one thing.
Yeah.
Gnostic made a comment in there that Windows is locking down processors. That's not true. They tried, it's not that they can't, but there was backlash when they tried that a few years ago. Where they're locking it down is using deprecated Windows systems like Windows 7. You can't, from 2017 forward, you can't use Windows 7 on those CPUs, but they have not locked out Linux.
Okay.
Like when they tried it a few years ago, they got a lot of backlash for it, and then that's when all of a sudden the love for Linux started. So,
I think there's probably a lot more to be said for the possible future of, Linux powering desktops. I think for us who are tinkerers, who have some time, to install Linux and try it out, I think the future looks good. It's been looking good for me, really good, powering my computer world really since 2016. With Ubuntu, because now I use Ubuntu Mate. But regular Ubuntu is good too, and I think if they can make regular Ubuntu a little bit faster, I think it looks great, out of the box, as it were. So, but that's my thoughts about that. All right, let's go and wrap this up, and maybe we'll finish up with some little bit of oddball fun news. But Ben, any last thoughts on this topic?
Not from me, no.
Okay, Joe.
the only thing you could say is, I keep supporting Linux as much as you can. The community is more than just a community of Linux users. It's friendships that have developed and evolved out of this. And if it keeps moving forward, fantastic. The main thing is we need to protect it like we're protecting one of our children. I think there's a lot of different things that worries, whatever, that we hear about out there, but it's a good thing, and I've said it before, it's one of the rare things in this world that we have a choice to do with and use.
Yeah, totally agree. Ricky, you still there?
I don't think.
I guess he had to go to a smart toilet.
Train of thought.
Okay, Steve, what do you have to say?
Not much. No. Sorry, I got lost. I was looking to answer a question about the Peppermint site, and I got kind of lost here. So I apologize. What was the question?
Your final thoughts.
Oh, my final thoughts. Yeah, that's my final thought. Linux is going to stay the way it is. We're never going to see mass adoption. We're never going to see a national desktop. All we can do is, as users, and as we get our little bit of other users, is just enjoy it the best we can.
Steve, remind me not to call you to cheer me up, okay? No, just kidding.
It's a
right now, I would have to agree.
It's the way it is. It changes a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
There's never going to be mass adoption from Windows 7. There wasn't from XP.
Yeah.
We're in a little bit of a niche, but it's growing steadily.
Yeah. I would agree. I think Chromebooks is probably the closest we're going to get. Chromebooks are going to be the closest we will get.
Yeah. You're right, Toss. I mean, the closest we're going to get to a national Linux computer, desktop, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the Chromebook. I mean, as much as we'd love to have a national Linux OS, whether it's Ubuntu or something else, like Gentoo, Arch, whatever you want it to be, it's 99% of the probability is like.
No, Anna Rita is saying, hi, Anna Rita, dialing from Canada. Anna Rita says, Chromebooks, no. Let me say, why? I like Sleepy. Patience, my young Padawan. We will get there. Patience. Patience. Listen to you, Master Yoda. Patience you need, Look, Linux has surprised me since 2006 when it has surprised me. Maybe it'll surprise me again. I don't know. Right, Anna Rita? I mean, women are so hard to please anyway, so.
Yes, they can be.
Okay, well, on that note, we can segue into some oddball news if you guys want to. This will finish our discussion for this Linux 18. It controls the world.
Yeah.
It sounds like a science fiction horror movie.
Cost,
Terminator
I hate to
7
cut out,
controls
but
the world.
I have to.
Ben is being terminated. Goodbye. Blah. Okay.
Good night.
All right, Ben. All right, let's go into some oddball news, and then we'll finish it up after that. So, let's see. And if anybody else has some funny headlines, be my guest. All right. An Ohio man seeks world record with beer-only Lent diet. Is that in the book of beers in the Bible? I must have missed that one. I've never tried that one. Joey, have you beer only Lent diet?
No, I don't drink this.
An Ohio man. I live in Ohio. I wonder which city. Ohio man says he's giving up solid food for Lent and switching to beer only. Let us pray. Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? Wrestling fans stage match inside a Texas Walmart. I'm not sure why, but now it makes me cringe every time I want. It makes me wonder. I go into a Walmart. Will there be a fight that I have to run away from? A deer crashes through the window of a Vermont bank. Maybe their interest rates were too high. I don't know. Here's something that you just don't read every day, Joe and Steve. A hippo wanders through a gas station parking lot. Really? This was a gas station in South Africa. Okay, well,
I was going to say, what part of the world?
Yeah, a hippo. Wow. Okay. Let's see here. What else? Oh, this was actually from a while back, but there's a woman in the UK who's physically in love with a Boeing 737. This could be a future topic. Are you in unhealthy relationships with technology? But she's been in love with. She said that the 737-800 is very attractive and sexy. It's most beautifully built, very attractive and elegant aircraft. This is true. Man, there are so many jokes here. But this is a family show, so I'll just leave it at that. Wow. Well, at least she's not in a fly-by-night relationship. Haha. Okay. Let's move on. Nearly 430-foot line of pancakes breaks Guinness record. A sports stadium in Britain. Pancakes measuring 429.3 feet. That's right. DT's got the best joke. She loves the 737 because size matters. Ha 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 ha. That's about as clean as we're gonna get. An 80-year-old basketball fan sinks a 94-foot putt. Good for him. Baboons escaped their Sydney hospital. Wandered the city. What a horrible thing to call hospital workers baboons. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else here? In Australia. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a little something. My wife was listening to the radio the other day, and news. People are putting mushrooms in their coffee.
Because
and my wife looks at me and says, "Why aren't you putting your mushrooms in your coffee?" And I said, "I wasn't told to."
Okay. Okay. Where's Sleepy? There you are. An Australian woman reunited with lost ring 46 years later. How romantic. Okay. Very good. Anything else here? Moose runs down a crowded ski slope in Sweden. Do you have any folks from Sweden here? Okay, well, so instead of getting goosed, you got moosed. Ba-da-bum. All right, that's enough of the funny stuff. Let's go into the chat here, then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Hello, Werner. How are you? The violinist, it swept her off her feet. Yes. Hello, violinist. Yeah. Caffeine doesn't do it for them. I sometimes I'll drink my coffee black. Sometimes I go to Tim Hortons. We have Tim Hortons here. I'll have what's called a double, double cream and double sugar. Difference between BSD and Linux. Well, they're both open source. I don't mess with BSD personally. Anyway, welcome, Werner. Hello, Ron. LQ Cares go down the list here. Leviticus, hello. Low spec Linux. Last laptop, Lee H. Liquid bread. What is liquid bread? What, beer? Simple Tech and everybody else, welcome to the stream. Well, I don't have anything else to say for tonight, but I was listening, Joe and Steve. I was listening to the one show we did last year. I think it was one-liners or stuff like that. Stuff like what was that one? About if 4 out of 5 people suffer from diarrhea, does that mean that one person enjoys it? You remember that?
I remember.
That's just. I used to be. There was some zingers, man. What was the other one? I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, I was playing that today. The highlights. It still makes me laugh. Or the poop app. It logs. Your logs, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeff. How are you? Plebeian is in the house. You metal detect. You've gotten cash and booze for finding rings thrown by angry wives. Wow. Okay. Why not? Hello, Ronnie. Ronnie's using FreeNAS based on FreeBSD to make web server on jails. Oh. Okay. Sleepy says the poop app classic. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really believe that a lot of the, I guess let's call them for what they are, sometimes gripes or whatever you may have about Linux, the things that we always tend to find wrong with it is a good thing, because that means that it's gotten that much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do. I think we expect more out of it now because it's gotten so good from where it used to be.
Well, look, nuclear submarines, the military, air traffic controllers, and the space station, the people who run these systems, they're not going to use Linux or start using Linux if it doesn't have some kind of potential. At the very least. So, yeah. Linux can do jail, Ronnie says. Okay. Yeah, Sleepy. The poop app is a classic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do remember the story about the plane that accidentally released their waste hatch. Yeah. A piece of, I guess, manure went through some guy's roof. Then the joke was, did it hit the fan?
No.
That was a good one.
That was classic. The ground.
It froze. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Jails won't use Android because they don't jailbreak them. Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy with my Motorola G7 Plus with the stereo speakers, so I can listen to Stephanie and my cousin Gabriella. I have to give a shout out. My cousin Gabriella, Long Island. She's released a new song. It's called Mrs. MRS, like Mrs. Whatever. It's a cat. It reminds me of a song that Taylor Swift would sing or Beyonce or something. It's a catchy song, and I bought it. So check out Mrs. by I think her stage name now is Gabri, Gabri. So my cousin, who doesn't watch this channel, but that's okay, she's busy. Check out Mrs. by Gabri. And of course, our friend Stephanie has been releasing short little songs on YouTube. Check it out for possible final songs on her next album. So check out Stephanie. In fact, I'll put it in the chat if you're interested. See, that's a nice thing about our Linux community. We can give shout outs to people even if they don't use Linux because they're good people.
Yeah.
And this, my cousin Mrs. by Gabri.
She doesn't have pink hair, does she?
Gabri is the one that does her hair pink. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have it up? Yeah. Yeah. For the photo shoot, she did the pink hair. Yeah. She released a song on Valentine's Day. Yeah. She's very young. Yeah.
All right, Carmen, I'm going to have to jump off. I got a
right.
boy.
Okay. I'm going to end this soon. Thanks, Steve. I'll catch you on the next one, buddy. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Check out. It is a catchy song. Check out. I started singing it when I first downloaded it. So check out Gabri. DT says, Stephanie Zoss, can you ask her a question? What is your question? Does she like Vegemite? I think she said she tried it once. On the live stream. It was it last year? What was the last concert she did? It was 2 years ago. She did like a 3-hour show. God bless her. She says she tried She was in Australia. She tried it, and she didn't say anything else. So I'm assuming that's as far as it went. She's a singer, so yeah, we don't want to destroy her vocal cords.
She's been posting a lot of stuff lately, I noticed, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had the chance. She says she would be busy till the end of March. That's why we haven't done any news nonsense together or anything. But my birthday's coming up March 24th, so I asked her to be free for my birthday, do a show. So, Stephanie, if you watch this, please, 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 on my birthday, please, please, please.
I just put a link in your cousin's YouTube song.
Yeah. Check out Mrs. by Gabri. Trust me, it's a catchy song. Come on. For $1.99, it is worth it. Quint, I'm going to log off here soon, buddy. Yeah. Maybe we'll have you on the next one. Let's give this the 5-minute warning, and then we'll wrap it up. I generally like to keep these within an hour or less. If you would like to be on the show regularly, you don't really need a webcam. Just a mic, a headset, preferably. If you are a supporter of the channel through PayPal or Patreon, you're automatically invited, more or less. Then I invite other people at random. So, but if you support the channel that way, I have you on the email list. That makes sense. I don't like to solicit emails. I won't do that. But if you are a supporter of the channel, you're automatically invited. Of course, you're also supporting this technology channel, Total OS Today. Jeff says Mrs. Gabby cute but pink. That's what she did. That was the photo shoot. So fancy some Marmite for breakfast in 5 minutes, Werner? Okay, if you say so. Anyway. Yeah.
No, Stephanie, she did something. I haven't watched it yet. She posted the other day about one-man band or something where she does multiple instruments, I think.
She says she does these like One Woman Wednesday or something where and usually how this works, she'll record herself doing a guitar, save that footage, do the bass, do this, and then she puts it all. I mean, I know it takes hours. God bless her.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I do tutorials or upload videos, I don't necessarily shoot them in sequence. I may shoot the ending first or the beginning, then put it all together. But that's a lot of work. I think Rocco mentioned it. How hard that is to do, putting it all together. She's a professional. So check out Stephanie. She really is the real deal in terms of a natural voice. And how do I know that? Because she came to visit. I invited her last year live. She did some live shows. I have 10 videos I'm wanting to share, but I want her to approve them before I post anything. And trust me, she sounds just as good live as she does on YouTube. So, Werner is in South African time, 6 a.m. Wow, thank you for joining us. Jeff's in Aruba. Oh, you lucky bastard. Are you lying, Jeff? Are you really in Aruba? Aruba, Jamaica, come on, pretty mama. Good for you, Jeff.
I'm wondering what Linux is going to power next.
Your lights, maybe, Ricky, so you could see it.
Yeah, I know, so we could see you. Yeah, right. Well, smart contact lenses are on the horizon, where you blink and you zoom, and you blink and you out of zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That is true. That is true.
All right, it is pushing 11. I need to text my friend here. He texted me 3 hours ago, and I forgot to text him back. So let's get to wrap this up. Yeah, Joe.
Are Linux powered by chance?
Say again?
Teslas? Do you know if they're Linux powered or not?
They do have that huge. I saw one live. They have that huge screen in the middle, so I'm assuming it is. Yeah. I would imagine.
I know they've had some with the autonomous driving. They've had some issues lately, but I don't know if that's necessarily the software.
I'd have to research, but I would not be surprised if they are, Joe. Yeah, they had one at one of the Pittsburgh malls, inside the mall there. The car version of it, and I peeked inside. I mean, it's a huge. That would be distracting trying to drive with that huge big screen. It looks like a double iPad put together.
Yeah. Years ago, they had I think it was St. Armand's down in Florida. I went down there with my I was visiting my dad, and they had a show, and they had a bunch of Teslas out there. And I remember there was one exactly as you described, massive screen. The whole top of the roof from front to back was glass. It was beautiful car.
St. Armand's, Circle, Square, something like that. It's called. That's a nice place to shop. That's the place of the $600 custom men's shirts, by the way. There's a place down here.
It's like Rodeo Drive there.
Yeah, $600. Oh well, not for me. Anyway, all right, guys, let's get to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody who joined. Of course, Joe, Ricky, and Stephen Ben had to log off. Thank you. The next one for the Linux A team here on Total OS today is scheduled 2 weeks from now. I'm hoping to get a sponsor. I've had 2 replies or 2 emails from the same company. I won't say anything now. They're interested. So I'll send them a quote. We'll see what happens. If they agree, we might do one next Friday night. I would love to do these weekly. But we'll see. Right now they are bi-weekly. So if you would like to be invited all the time, if you are a supporter at any level, you're automatically invited. Again, because that's the only way I have your email list. I don't share emails, and I don't solicit emails either, unless of course you send me an email and you want to do correspondence, and that's awesome. But that's how we do it here. So Sleepy and everybody else, thank you. Jeff, everybody, Gnostic, Kenny, and everybody else here in the chat, thank you. If you haven't already subscribed, you may want to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I don't necessarily have, except for these, I don't necessarily have a set schedule. I do other videos at random, like Dan Tossed It's Friday, 30-minute chats, stuff like that. I'm going to try and do at least one weekend day Linux A team show for the friends overseas. I know there's a lot of folks overseas who almost never get a chance. Even though there's some people here who joined in different time zones. Thank you. Especially that lucky dude in Aruba. Man, I wish I was in Florida now. It's 19 degrees here as a low tonight. And I'm freezing my cannolis off. But Ron, thank you. I want to say thank you to that person who left a very nice comment. It was a tutorial on installing Linux, and you have a PAE. I think there's an error on the non-PAE compatible. You guys may have come across that for an older system, and there's a workaround. Somebody sends that. Thank you. So thank you. That's why I do tutorials like that. That's all I have for this. Me, Ricky, and Joe are gonna chat here offline for a little bit, and we'll wrap it up. You have any questions?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's around my bedtime, so I have to get off.
Okay, then me and Joe will catch up a little bit. All right, Ricky. Thank you.
See you later.
Ciao. All right, that's it for this show. Catch you on the next one. Arrivederci.
Good night, everybody.